If you are looking for a job abroad, you are in the right place. Welcome to Start Your International Career, your guide to finding a job abroad. In this episode, we have Simon Immerzel. Simon is half Dutch, half Spanish, and has worked in Spain, in the Netherlands, and is now working and living in Switzerland. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Roman. Very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about myself.
Very happy to have you. Okay, so before we go into details, please explain to us briefly what is your current job and what did you study?
So, hello everyone. I'm Simon. I studied industrial design engineering in the Netherlands, and I'm currently working in Zurich as a consultant. So I'm a senior consultant in the terms of service design and strategy. So basically what I do is I tell big companies how to change in the right direction, basically, in terms of implementing new tools or changing their systems, changing their roles, their structure. My job is to study their current setup and see where change can be made in the most frictionless way possible.
Okay. And why did you want to move to Switzerland?
I moved for love. So up until like 5-6 months ago, I was living in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And 3 years ago, when I got to Barcelona, I said like, okay, I'm gonna stay here for 3 to 5 years, and then I'll move somewhere else because I like moving around and I wanted to explore the world a little bit. So I was thinking about maybe going to Australia. But then, as life has it, I fell in love. I met this girl, my current girlfriend, and we've been together for 2 years. We did long distance for a while, and after doing long distance for a while, she moved to Zurich, and I found a job here, and we decided to move in together. So,
all right.
Yes, yeah.
So moving to Switzerland was not because of the job itself, but because of your relationship that made you look for a job here.
I had to find a job, exactly, to
all
live
right.
together, yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, what a punishment, right? To to move to Switzerland.
Yeah, no. I'm not complaining whatsoever. And I was already like mentally prepared to move abroad anyway. So it was a relatively natural step. It just happened a little bit earlier than I expected. Mm-hmm. And I think the other restrictive point is the fact that you cannot move to Switzerland without having a Swiss job.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but like with the salary differences, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So if it had been France, it would have been a little bit easier. Maybe do some remote work or do something on the side, and I could have accelerated it. But for Switzerland, you need a Swiss contract.
Yeah. I agree. With non-Swiss salary, it's difficult to get by in Switzerland. Yeah. Okay. So quickly, before we go into the Switzerland, the Swiss search job, you were working in Barcelona, and before that, you were working in the Netherlands.
Yeah,
right?
Very briefly, yeah.
All right. Okay, so talking about the Swiss job search, was it difficult to find a job for you?
It was. Partly because the market was a little bit rough at the time. 6 months ago, and it still is today. So it's not the easiest moment to find a job. It's very doable, but you need to lower your expectations a bit more than usual. In my case, I thought it would be easier considering my CV is pretty strong, and I speak multiple languages. I have English. I don't have German, which is a minus point. But I looked for a job for about 3 months before I got this one, and I got this one because I got a recommendation from my previous boss. Mm-hmm. So it's the same company, sort of same mother company, different department and different job altogether. But it was my boss who put me in contact with my current with my boss today, and I got fast tracked in the interviews. So that was a little bit of the advantage I had. I had contacts, and that's how I got the job in Switzerland.
Okay, that's important. Networking.
Networking, super important. Yeah. I feel like it's 60% of the work is networking. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Especially in Switzerland, I think the Swiss people call it vitamin B, which is which the B stands for something like networking and having contacts.
In German, which we don't speak. Yes, that's lovely.
Learning.
Yeah. Hey, we're on it. Right. Mein Deutsch is sehr gut. Sehr gut.
Yeah, but you also speak Dutch, right? Which is similar to Deutsch in a way.
Yes, but it's easier to learn Dutch from German than German from Dutch. I never went to school in the Netherlands, and a lot of kids in the Netherlands get German at school, so they have like this extra advantage, right? The thing is, German follows a completely different grammatical basis than, because it's Latin, compared to Dutch, which is the same as English, for instance.
All right.
So if you already speak English, it's a lot easier to learn Dutch than it is to learn German.
Okay, I see. So you found a job, I guess, only with English. You currently work in English, right?
Yeah, full English.
Okay. Yeah. Did you had any other language apart from English, Dutch, and Spanish?
So I speak 5 languages. I have French and I have Catalan as well.
All right.
Catalan only gets you so far, so it's really nice if you live in in Catalonia. But it doesn't really help anywhere else. I think it does open your mind. Having languages in general, I would say maybe this is like a recommendation I can throw ahead of time. I would say one of the most important things to have in general in life is languages, because even if all goes wrong in life, you always have a possibility to communicate in different places with different people, and it also opens your mind to different concepts because we use different words to describe similar things, right?
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. It's something that I realized, I would say, late, because I used to think that with Spanish and English you can get by almost everywhere, which is actually true. Like 90% of the world, you're able to get by with these 2 languages. But at the same time, as you said, speaking a new language opens up your mind. It gives you more perspective on different concepts that you don't have in your mother tongue.
Because they don't exist. The German have a really good one I learned recently. It's Schadenfreude, which is the pleasure you take in someone else's pain.
Okay. That's so bad.
But it's nice that there's one word to describe this, because it doesn't exist in English or in Spanish. So now there's a concept in my mind for, yes, I'm enjoying Schadenfreude here. Yeah.
I hope you don't use that term a lot. Yeah. It's true. German language is very precise. They have a word.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So going back to your job search, what was the biggest challenge during your search?
I would say maybe the fact that they didn't answer. So that I would sent in total like 100 applications. Because at some point you have it very automated, right? I have 6 versions of my CV with slight changes, and then I have 10 different motivational letters that I can sort of tweak a little bit. So every time I see a new job that I like, I take the one that approaches the most, edit it very slightly, send it in. The biggest challenge is the fact that I wasn't even getting interviews. Because if you get an interview, at least you can sort of progress in learning, okay, this is what the market expects from you. Yeah. But with Switzerland compared to the Netherlands or compared to Spain, I was having a very hard time getting my foot in the door with the interviews. I feel like there's a little bit of more restrictive environment regarding either having German or being Swiss. Being local provides you a more of an advantage compared to other countries.
I would say it's the biggest advantage that you can have because they have quotas. Yeah. I don't know exactly how do they work, what is the percentage, but they have quotas. And for the people that don't know about Switzerland is very competitive, as you said, because first, they give priority to Swiss people. So if a job can be covered with a Swiss person, it will be covered with a Swiss person, no matter how good your CV is if you are foreign. And then that's for Europeans. If you are non-European, then you are in a third layer, in a
that's extra difficult.
Tier.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the visas.
Exactly. Yeah. So they need to prove that they cannot cover with a Swiss person, with an European person, and then it will be a non-European country.
Of course, it helps where you look for international companies that have offices around the world. it's a little bit easier that way. Like mine, for instance, super, super big company, Dentsu. It's 90,000 people or 100,000 people with offices all over the world. In my case, since I was already in one of the sub-companies of Dentsu in Spain, it was easier to do a sort of internal jump to Switzerland, right? So sometimes it might be even possible to get a job for a big company and just ask them to locate you in the office in Switzerland.
Absolutely. We were having a podcast I was recording with another person that did exactly that was working for this company in another country, and he asked for an internal rotation, and like that.
Might be simpler.
I think it's the easiest way. We've mentioned it in other podcasts, but I repeat, if you have the opportunity to go inside your company to a different position in a different country, do it, because it's the best way to move abroad. You don't need to start from scratch. You don't need to send CVs.
I think it's a little bit harder maybe, like if you want to move from France or Spain to Switzerland specifically, because the cost for the company might be higher. So I have a colleague, for instance, that's doing this right now. So he's based in Germany and he wants to move to Switzerland. So his contract needs to change. But that means also that his salary needs to change. So he becomes more expensive for the company. And since it's exactly the same role, so in my case it was different because I was changing roles. So I had to do interviews and everything. But for someone that wants to keep their own role,
that's difficult,
it's easier if you move, let's say, Germany to the Netherlands or Spain to the Netherlands even. But Netherlands to Switzerland or Spain to Switzerland might be harder because of the salary differences.
Yeah, because for the company, it's difficult, right? It's paying double, triple, quadruple for the same job.
Exactly. You need to be really good for them to,
It's a difficult business case to defend.
Yeah.
Okay. So we covered the biggest challenge during your search, languages, and I want to get a bit deeper into your experience before Switzerland. So you were working in the Netherlands and also in Spain. So tell us a bit more about the Netherlands, because you didn't grow up in the Netherlands, as
No,
you said,
I was born there, but my family moved to Spain when I was 4. So I was raised in Barcelona, or close to Barcelona. And I moved back to the Netherlands when I was 18. So I did 1 year of university in Barcelona. I started industrial design engineering, did 1 year. I realized that I really liked the study, but not the university.
All right.
And I had the chance to use the benefits of being Dutch. So I decided to move to the Netherlands to study there.
Did you have a Dutch passport?
I do have a Dutch passport. I have double nationality, so that helps. So the government in the Netherlands gives support to students, and I could get those as well.
Okay, so that's how you made the jump to study in the Netherlands and then work in the Netherlands.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And can you briefly explain what was your job in the Netherlands?
So while I was in the Netherlands, I stayed there for 7 years, and I did my bachelor's in industrial design engineering. I did my master's in integrated product design. And during my master's, I was working as a TA, a teacher assistant at the university. I've worked, basically, I've always had a job since I was 16, but it's always been like side jobs. Like when I was 16, I was giving classes to younger students. When I was 18 and I moved to the Netherlands, I started selling suits at a store. And then after that, I worked at a Spanish tapas bar in the city I was studying at. And then when I was at master's, that was the official, like, first sort of official job, and that was as a TA for the university. And that was really nice because you can just do it on the side next to your studies. And then when I finished my master's, I got an extension contract for Dell, the technology company. Yeah, correct. Because I did my master thesis for them.
All right.
And they liked the work I was doing, so they said, hey, we're going to give you an extension as a freelancer, and you can stay here and work for us for another year until we figure like what we want to do with you. So I got a full year of work with Dell in the Dell Experience Innovation Department. So basically the department that's looking into the future for Dell.
Okay.
Really fun.
That's a good way
that was
to,
like a
to put it.
really fun job, yeah.
And did you work in Dutch or in English at that moment?
No, that was in Dutch. That was full Dutch.
All
Yeah.
right. So,
But the thing is, I learned Dutch when I was growing up from my father, but it was all very much at home Dutch, sort of how was your day and go
Yeah.
clean your room kind of Dutch. And then I moved to the Netherlands, and one of the risky parts was the fact that the bachelor's was in Dutch. And I remember very clearly when I applied to the university, they said I had to do sort of an interview exam to prove that my Dutch was good enough to do the bachelor's.
yeah.
And I struggled so much because you see this professor in front of you who's asking you physics questions in Dutch, and you know what he's asking, and all the information is in your brain, but it's stored in Spanish or in English.
Yeah.
So you don't know the words to express yourself. So I was starting the sentence in Dutch and then reverting to English all the time because I didn't know how to say it in Dutch. At the end, he said like, "Hey, you're like, it's not perfect, but it's good enough that I know that within the next months you're going to learn enough to get by." And that's exactly what happened. I moved there, and I remember the first courses were really rough for me. Imagine doing material sciences in Dutch suddenly, you know?
It's already difficult in your mother tongue.
Yeah.
Imagine.
No, that was difficult. So I had a little bit of an issue, but after the first year it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say Dutch is important to get a job in the Netherlands? Maybe not important, but mandatory.
No, not at all. I would actually say Dutch is less important in the Netherlands than Spanish in Spain or German in Switzerland.
Ah, yeah.
Because the Netherlands is a very dual language country. Mm-hmm. So it's really Dutch and English. So I would even go as far as to say, if you don't intend on staying in the Netherlands for a long period of time, long period of time being, let's say, 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
If you don't want to stay 5 to 10 years, I wouldn't even bother studying Dutch to get a job. I would learn Dutch if you're interested in it because it's good to, get into the society. But everyone speaks English there, and at a pretty good level.
For example, your job was in Dutch, right? In an international company.
But you could work in English there, easy.
Ah, so it was fine to work in English.
The thing is, it was a small team, and we all spoke Dutch.
All right.
So by default, you go to Dutch. But most of the meetings. So the thing is, the job I was doing was mostly with my team. And within my team, we spoke Dutch. But every time there was a presentation, every time there was anything with anyone else, it was in English. Yeah, right. Because there were people there that didn't speak Dutch, and that was absolutely fine. Okay. So I would not say it's a limiting factor not speaking Dutch in the Netherlands.
Okay, good point. Yeah, because in Spain it is. Like it is a limiting factor if you don't know
If it's
Spanish.
not an international company, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think in Spain...
Even in an international company, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In Spain, I think you can go to either Barcelona or Madrid if you don't know Spanish. Other than that, forget about that.
Yeah.
And then even in Barcelona or Madrid, you might be required to speak Spanish. Yeah. Because a lot of Spanish people, I mean, it's a shame, but they don't know other language.
Only 20% of the country can do basic conversations in English.
That's tough. Yeah. That's an improvement point for Spain.
It is what it is. It's an educational point. I think, as a fun fact, in between, one of the main reasons for me is that everything is translated on TV.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, everything's subtitled.
Yeah, it makes sense because Dutch is not as powerful as Spanish, right? It's only in the Netherlands.
Of course, but it's also they don't invest in that. They just translate everything. So everything comes in English, so you get it in English, and then just with subtitles underneath. So kids get a lot of English in their day-to-day lives, and in Spain we don't at all.
I see.
Yeah.
I want to go to your master's degree because one interesting point that I saw in your profile is that you spent some time in Colombia.
Yeah.
You did part of your master's in Colombia.
Yeah.
So I cannot help but asking why Colombia and how did you find it?
So I was very lucky. The university provides the option to do either a minor exchange during the bachelor or a master exchange during the master. And then the rule is during the master's specifically, you need to find a study and justify why it provides additional value to you or the master that you're studying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my case, I was doing integrated product design, and I got I really got into behavioral design and how people think about the products they use. So I looked through the list of possibilities, and I told you already, I'm really someone that likes to move around, and it's something that I hope I will be able to do again in the future,
Mm-hmm.
as in live in a different country than Switzerland as well. So I was already very much looking forward to moving somewhere else for a little bit under a year. And I found that there was this university in Medellin, EAFIT, who provided a psychology course, a psychology master's,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the possibility to choose your own courses. So out of everything they provided, I could choose my own timetable.
All right.
And I went to the board in the Netherlands, and I told them, like, hey, I'm doing a lot with circular design, a lot with behavioral design. It's very, very connected to psychology. I really would like to do an exchange there. And they said, yeah, like that makes sense.
Go ahead.
Why not? Go ahead. So the way it works is basically you continue paying your university in the Netherlands, and then you just move there.
Okay.
So you don't pay the tuition difference because the university in Colombia also sends students to the Netherlands. One of the reasons why I chose Colombia is because the year before I became friends with an exchange student from EAFIT. And they recommended it. They talked like really well about it. And I said like, hey, it sounds like a great experience. It's also speaking Spanish. It gives an extra value of like, I've never been to South America. They speak the same language as me, so I will be able to get a little bit into the culture. I'm going to stay a little bit longer there, so I'm going to try and integrate as much as I can. So that's why I chose Colombia specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
The spark, if we can say it like that, was that friend that you made that
Gave me the
talked
idea.
you, talked
exactly.
you through. Okay.
Because otherwise I would have thought at the time I was considering Japan as an alternative as well.
Okay, which is also
very
exotic.
Yeah, but the thing is, actually this is interesting. I visited Japan maybe half a year before I had to make the decision on where I was going, and I stayed there for 2 weeks with my sister, and I realized during those 2 weeks that it would be extremely difficult for me to feel any kind of integration in Japan. Because they're very closed off. They're very welcoming. They're very nice to people, but they're culturally very closed off, and language plays a huge role in that. So I saw at that time that if I did an exchange there, most likely I would spend all my time with the exchange students, so other people from Spain or from the Netherlands, and not really with people from there. And when I was in Colombia, all my friends were Colombian. I was moving around with Colombians all the time. So
that's nice. That's the best when you go to a new country to make local friends.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's the best. Okay, and getting deeper into salary range. I think your experience is interesting because you've done something similar but in different countries. Mm-hmm. So what is the salary range, for example, for that position that you held, but in Spain, in Netherlands, and in Switzerland, to compare them?
So, as I said, I started off as an industrial design engineer, which is very product focused. So we design the product, how it looks, what, how much it costs to produce, who produces it, how to get it. And with time, I've moved farther away from the engineering side of the product and more towards strategy and service. So everything around the product itself.
Okay.
Why do we need this product and not something else kind of question instead of, When I started in the Netherlands, the expected entry-level salary for an industrial design engineer, so no experience, was around 35,000 a year. Euros. The salary range in Spain, entry level, for the same position is about 26 to 28,000 euros.
Okay.
Depends a little bit on the company. And then I would say with a little bit of experience in Spain, you jump to 35,000. With a little bit of experience in the Netherlands, you jump to 45,000. Once you move into a little bit more senior positions, a little bit more management, in Spain, with a little bit of luck, if you get the right company, you move up to 45,000.
All right.
And then moving to Switzerland, the salary range for my position can be anywhere from, let's say, 90 to 110,000 Swiss francs. Potentially more if you're going to be leading teams.
Mm-hmm.
So when you move into management, it goes from 115 to 140, let's say.
All right. Okay. That's a good range to compare the same job or a similar job in different countries.
I would say Switzerland, as a general rule of thumb, is times 2. Mm-hmm. So for everything in Switzerland is about times 2 from Spain. Yeah.
All right. In terms of salaries, you mean?
More or less.
Or,
yeah.
Okay.
So if you're expecting to make 90,000 in Switzerland, it's because you were already making around 40 to 45,000 in Spain. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a little bit harder to justify 120,000 if you're making 35,000 in Spain. Yeah. It must be a really, you need to be lucky to get that, let's say. You need to make a really good decision towards the company that you find.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I think it's a good rule of thumb. In my experience, it's a bit more 2.5.
2 point something. 2 point, yeah, maybe it's 2.3, 2.5.
But depending on the job, yeah.
I think the very important point to notice is the taxes. Because it's not only the salary range, but it's also how much you pay in taxes. And that's a very nice part of Switzerland.
That's the base advantage. Because your salary can be twice or 2.5, but also the taxes here are divided by...
divided by 2.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's not only that you make more money gross, it's that you receive more money in your account. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Okay, and getting practical and talking directly to the people that are listening to us, what advice do you have for someone who wants to move into Switzerland?
Specifically Switzerland?
Yeah, specifically Switzerland and for your job, for your role.
Okay, Networking. Make use of LinkedIn.
And then networking.
And then networking. Connect with anyone and everyone. Every company, every big company here has some sort of connection to another company outside. Mm-hmm. So that's the most likely access point for you. Start learning German, because there is a real chance that it's going to take you 5-6 months to find the job. And it only takes 5 to 6 months to get a basic understanding of German that's good enough for you to put it in your CV. So I would definitely recommend, if your intention is to move to Switzerland, start learning German. If you really, really, really want to move to Switzerland and you're in a hurry for whatever reason, try and lower your expectations. Maybe you're leading a team in Spain. There is a chance that you may get a job easier if you go into more mid-range position in Switzerland.
Yeah, like and taking a step down, but only for that transition.
Exactly. You take a step down to get in. Once you're in, you go up again. Okay. The thing is getting in. That's a difficult point. Once you're in, it's a lot easier.
I agree. Yeah. And also the German one, I think it's a good tip because people see learning, not only German, but any language as something super far away, something that will take a lot of time, which in part is, but also at the same time, if you're looking for a job abroad and you are required to learn that language, you can get a basic understanding in a short period of time, like you said. And it makes all the difference when you go to that interview and they ask you, do you know German? And you say, no, or you say, I'm learning. I'm not fluent, but
I'm
blah, blah, blah.
I'm already like at level,
exactly.
B2, whatever. Yes, yeah.
And if you put two candidates and one says no and the other one says that, okay, it's a different in the attitude. You see, one is serious about it and the other one...
The intention is important.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Okay, so that's advice for someone who wants to come into Switzerland. And then in your case, was there something specific that helped you stand out? Like any specific experience or any specific certificate, for example?
No. As in, it wasn't one particular certificate, it wasn't one thing, but I've been told by my current boss that the only reason he considered me for the position, because in my team, I'm the only person that comes from design. Everyone comes from strategy and business.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, it's the same job. You just look at it from different angles, right? The reason why I was considered, according to him, was soft skills. So I was able to sell myself on soft skills rather than on hard skills. I was very clear on, hey, I haven't done this. I'm not able to do that because I don't have experience in that area. Mm-hmm. But I can lead workshops. I'm good at presenting. During the interview, I presented myself well. I have the languages. I have ambition. Like there was a whole list of things that ended up in him saying, like, I'd rather hire you for your soft skills and then teach you the hard skills later, rather than have someone with hard skills, no soft skills.
Oh, wow.
So in this particular instance, and this is not the first time I hear it, I would recommend anyone in my position to focus a lot on selling themselves on soft skills, mm-hmm. instead of putting all the effort on saying, like, I've got this certificate and I've got 10 years of experience on Blender or whatever. Because there's a lot of people like you around, but there's very few people that have that plus languages, or I'm able to present easily in front of 50 people, no stress, mm-hmm. or I'm good at improvising, or I am very methodical, or I'm very either very structured, or I'm very good at getting what matters out of a point. I feel like that's one of the things that I see the least that matter the most.
Okay, that's counterintuitive, I would say, in Switzerland, because at least in my experience and mm-hmm. the people I've interviewed before, Switzerland is a highly competitive market, and they normally are looking for the expert. Every time they want to hire someone,
they always
want
for
the expert.
In my case, they call him the unicorn. Uh-huh. But the unicorn is not necessarily the expert on one thing. The unicorn is the one that is really good at, like, in general, like the really good profile for that particular job. It can mean a lot of things. The thing is, with the job I have now, which is more service and strategy, it's not as tangible. If you say, hey, Simon, your role is like you're an expert on this particular tool, then I would say yes. Okay. If we hire someone, I expect them to be an expert on this tool. Mm-hmm. But in my role, there's no use in you being an expert in one particular tool. Mm-hmm. You need to be very good at looking at a whole system and deciding what's best for that system, which is a combination of multiple skills. And then you need to be able to express it properly, and you need to be able to find what matters. And all of this comes more from your own ability as a person. That's why I was saying, like, I would say my degree supports what I do now. Mm-hmm. And it has helped me a lot in the way I think about things and how I approach things from a design perspective. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's necessary for what I do. You can get to what I do from 6 different degrees.
Yeah, from business and strategy.
From business strategy, you can get in. There's people that have done pure research, anthropology, for instance, and they get into service design from the research side. There's people that come into it from a pure economics perspective. The people that get to the point where I am right now are the people that don't want to look at their specific degree. They want to look at how that part integrates within a bigger system.
All right. So it's a good case to show that you don't need to be an expert in Switzerland. There are also jobs that ask you for a broad perspective.
Yeah.
And not only to be the expert, because normally the massive amount of people that I've interviewed were specific into one field, were experts, and the way I think about it, the way I think about the Swiss job market is, for example, when you're at your house and a pipe breaks, you don't call a whole house renovation company. You call a plumber.
And specifically
exactly. You call the guy that will fix that pipe. And in Switzerland, as they can, let's say, allow themselves to pay high salaries, they call the biggest expert in fixing pipes.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good one, to show people that you can also access to other type of jobs.
I feel like it truly also depends on how big the company is that you want to get into. If it's a smaller company with high investing power, it's more than likely that they're going to look for the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
If it's an international company, like you want to work for Google, for instance, that's also around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's more likely because of the amount of people that are in Google that they may pay a little bit more attention to soft skills instead of hard skills.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying it will be easier, and I do agree that you need the experience, but you can broaden your search a little bit, and then you'll find that you don't have to be the biggest expert. You can just sell yourself on soft skills as well.
I like that because recently I read a book which is called Range by, I hope I don't mix his name, I think it's Jeffrey Epstein, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Range is a very famous book that says that the biggest scientific discoveries were not made by experts who were always in the same field, but by people who had a broad perspective and were able to connect the dots between different fields. Yeah. So, for example, someone that worked in medicine and someone that worked in, in sports, and they see trends and they are able to connect it.
To generate something new.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of generalists. So being sort of good at a lot of different things instead of really good at one. But it is true that the market doesn't always think the same.
Yeah. But I agree. I think I'm more of a generalist as well. I like to try several different things. But going back to the podcast.
Yeah. We got diverted a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so in your case, having experience was more important, or at least 50-50, than having studies. And now if we talk about the specifics of each country, like not about the job, but the country, can you tell me the best and the worst about Netherlands, Spain, and Switzerland?
In terms of working conditions, in terms of...
Overall life. So how would you rate the overall life, and what is the best and the worst?
In terms of quality of life, and this is of course a very personal opinion, I would say best quality of life is Spain if you have a decent salary.
Which is not easy to get.
Which is not easy to get, yeah. So especially like if you're thinking about Barcelona or Madrid, right? Your entry-level salary of 30,000 euros a year is not enough, I would consider, to have a high quality of life. You'll live fine and you'll enjoy your time, but you won't be relaxed.
Yeah.
So I do believe that if your salary is higher, the South will provide better quality of life, and I'm looking forward to the day where I move back to Spain as well, because I really like it there. Also, family's there, so I've got extra reasons. Then second, I would say Switzerland, specifically Zurich, which is where I am now, because of the enjoyment of all the seasons in the year. I get really affected by seasonal depression, as in gray and dark doesn't work with me. And you understand why, like we come from Spain, we need the sun. So despite the fact that I really like the Netherlands, I choose Switzerland because you can enjoy the winter season as well. You can ski, you can do you can go into the mountains. There's a bunch of things you can do outside, outdoors. While in the Netherlands, you get 2 months of gray, and it's the same. Like, it's flat. There's nothing there. You can enjoy time with your friends. You can maybe go to a bar, but after 5 years, it becomes a little bit repetitive. So for me, at least, I wasn't able to enjoy myself to the fullest in the Netherlands. And after year number 5, it was becoming a little bit like I was just running away during winter, basically, which you can do, and it's fine. And if you're able to do it, then great place to be at. I enjoyed it a lot, but I would still choose Switzerland over Netherlands.
All right. Okay, so now we've compared Spain with Netherlands and with Switzerland, and then getting a bit deeper and philosophical, how has living abroad changed how you see yourself?
That's not an easy question to answer.
It's not.
I would say living abroad provides a different perspective of the people that you meet, a different take in life. You see differences in how people approach happiness, how people approach expectations and needs. It gives a little bit more information about how to interact with people. Now, after having lived in different countries, I would not approach a Dutch person the same way I would approach a Spanish person or a Swiss person. They require a different type of touch. They have different humor. They have
it's a different framework.
Different framework, exactly. Yeah. So, if you don't travel as much, I would understand that. If you don't get in contact with a lot of different cultures in your day-to-day life, which is an option, let's say you work at a hotel in Barcelona, I'm sure you have a lot of life experience around different cultures. You get to see the world through different eyes every time you travel. And every time you travel and you move around, you get another piece of the puzzle. So you evolve in terms of your interaction with your environment. And the more you travel, the more it happens. So I think some of the best people I've ever met were people that traveled a lot, and they just provide this amazing view of the world that is all-encompassing instead of unilateral. No?
Yeah, instead of the unique truth. That
exactly. That's the one thing I've seen, therefore that's my truth. Yeah,
I agree. That's a good one. Powerful reflection. And another deep question. If you look back, is there anything you would have done differently?
How far back?
Far back in terms of job, in terms of employment. So you have approached your job search in a different way, applying more, applying less, preparing your CV in a different way.
So potentially the first thing I may have done differently would have been to work in between my bachelor's and my master's. So start my job search before, because then you select your master's based on what you truly want to develop in your career.
Okay.
So you decide your studies after you know what you're developing your career into. And then in my particular case, since I already did that, I would recommend past me to never sell myself short. So I'm gonna use a small anecdote as an example. When I was working in Barcelona, I was a mid-level designer for a design agency, big one, and I was working as in-house designer for a big client. The design agency was selling me to the big client as a senior designer, right? And I only found out because in one presentation they forgot to remove it or something. I got access to a presentation where my name came up and it said senior designer. So they were charging the big company for me as a senior designer, which is very common, but they were paying me as a mid-level designer.
Yeah.
So immediately, next thing I did was go into LinkedIn, change my title to senior designer. If you're selling me and I'm providing services as a senior designer, I'm going to sell myself as a senior designer, despite the fact that my contract is mid designer. And that's what allowed me to, when I changed jobs in Spain, I feel like that helped a lot because they were looking for a senior designer, right? So my recommendation to pass me would be don't doubt yourself too much and stick to the rules. Learn about the game and play the game because everyone is playing the game. So you need to bend it a little bit, be a little bit wiser on how you present yourself, and don't be like, if you're a junior somewhere, that's fine, say you're junior, but then put I was able to manage this and this and this. I was given extraordinary responsibilities for this and this and that. If you participate in that sort of project, don't stick only to the thing that's written in the contract. Because at the end of the day, if you want to go up, then you need to sell yourself up as well.
Okay, interesting. And we're reaching towards the end of the podcast, and we finish the podcast with 3 quick questions with also 3 quick answers. The first one is your favorite local food. In your case, I will ask you for 3. So Spain, Netherlands, and Switzerland.
That's a good question. I'm gonna go. It's not Swiss. I think it's German, but I'm gonna go with a filled pretzel.
All right.
I think it's like one of those things I never really considered until I moved here, and then I moved here. I was like, oh, that's really good.
It's good.
Yeah. For the Netherlands, I'm gonna go with stamppot, which is mashed potatoes with veggies and bacon.
All right.
It's really good. It's really like from post-war era, but really nice food. And for Spain, I'm gonna go with tortilla patatas, like a Spanish omelet, potatoes and eggs.
I like
Classic, easy, but
never fails.
Never fails.
All right. Then one book that you recommend. It can be any topic.
I actually just finished reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
What's it
about? It's a science fiction book presented in a very correct way. The physics are very well explained. The math is very well explained. It's the same guy that wrote The Martian. I don't know if you've seen the movie with Matt Damon. Very big movie. You should. It's really good. So he wrote a book called The Martian. They made a movie, The Martian. And then he wrote the book Project Hail Mary. I think he just wrote a new book as well. They're making the movie for Project Hail Mary as well. So you're just in time to read it before.
Cool. We'll leave it in the description.
Exactly.
And to finish, what is the best advice that you have ever received?
The one that I've always had with me is from my grandfather. He passed away already 10 years ago. But he always said the same. He said 2 things, but I'm going to take the one that I actually use the most. He said, look at the ball. He just said, look at the ball, right? He taught me how to play tennis, and he would always tell me, look at the ball. But then I realized he would use the same sentence outside of tennis all the time. So don't lose track of the ball. So if there's something going on, if you're in a field and you're playing, the ball is a very small thing that's moving. That's the important part of the thing you're doing. That's what you need to look at because that's what you want to hit. So he started applying it to general life things, like don't get bothered by everything that is around you. Just look at the ball. What is it that you need to hit? And then the rest will sort of fit into place,
I think I've discovered a new good advice. I think I like that, yeah. Because I remember somewhen I read winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. And I saw a picture of Michael Phelps going like crazy, only looking at the goal, and the other swimmer
looking at him.
Yeah, exactly. So he was not looking at the ball.
So exactly, you need to look at the ball.
Like you said,
that's the only thing that matters, because it sometimes also feels like there's a lot coming at you, but it's usually only one thing that you need to do and one thing you need to focus on. So focus on the first thing first, and then, the ball will return at some point.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. That was powerful. All right. So we end up with this great advice. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this conversation, follow me and share it with someone who wants to move abroad. And if you are on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please like and rate the show with 5 stars. It really helps me a lot more than you think. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.